Massive game tomorrow, Arsenal, Manchester United. Big game. It's not like it used to be, I think we all know that, in terms of the Ferguson Wenger era and the whole titles all the time between them two. I don't think we're anywhere close to what that was, clearly. But in terms of this season and how it's playing out, it's a massive season, a massive game for both teams. Arsenal are in good form right now. We have been, apart from that Sheffield game. You could argue that we've got luck here and there in certain games and moments, but we are where we are. And this is a massive game, even more so than it could have been, I think. So I think the pressure is on us more than Arsenal. Obviously, it's at Arsenal's, and they're coming into this probably with more confidence than we've got right now, despite the position in the table. I think it's going to be a tight game. I actually fancy them to nick it more than us nicking it if it's a tight game. But I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. I think it's going to be a tight, cagey affair. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the teams gets a penalty and maybe a VAR decision. I think it's going to be one of them on the edge of your seat games, frustrating games maybe, and just nerve-wracking. I really do. Hopefully there's lots of goals and it's exciting, but I think it's going to be a cup final type of game where neither team wants to give away too much. So I think there's going to be hesitancy from both teams. Saka worries me for Arsenal. I do think he's a very good player and he's still young. I think he's doing tremendously this season, a lot more than I was expecting him to do. Arteta seems to be steering the ship in the right way for Arsenal right now. So I think in terms of a time of playing them, it works out more for them right now in terms of confidence for them. Got our away record that we haven't lost away for a calendar year, which that could also go as well. So that's going to be another motivation for Arsenal. So they're going to be up for this. And I'm slightly worried because I feel that some of our players might not be over that Sheffield result. And if that is the case, it's going to be a long afternoon for us. They're going to be coming out of the gate at us like more than ever because of that Sheffield result. I think that they would have been more hesitant if we'd have won that game or even maybe drawn it than if we'd have lost it. Like, I think now they feel like, right, these United players are on the floor. Let's kick them while they're down. Let's not let them get back up. So it's a dangerous game for us, more so than for them, I think. So I think more of the pressure is on us. I do think we've got a good enough team to beat them, but it comes down to how much is that Sheffield game in the players' heads now. Because bottom of the table, what is it? They had 5 points before that win against us. And they deserved the win. Like I said in the post-match, they deserved it. Now, Sheffield United are not Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? There's levels to this. And we didn't turn up against Sheffield. No excuses for it. So many of the players, even Bruno. So it's going to be interesting to see how many players for us that are affected mentally by that Sheffield loss. Because if they are still affected by it, I see us losing. Lucky if we get a draw. But this is where the weak get separated from the strong. Because the weak will suffer and not put in a performance and possibly have a worse performance in the Sheffield game, which is just crazy to think about. Or they answer back with a result. Maybe Bruno gets 2 goals and an assist. Or Rashford scores 2 or a hat-trick or something. Do you know what I mean? This is what these big moments call for big players. We've got big players, but they didn't turn up for Sheffield. Now we've got to see them turn up for Arsenal. I'm going for a draw. I want the 3 points, obviously, but I think a draw will be a good result right in this moment right now because of that loss. I would take a draw. But if we lose, do you know what I mean? It's going to be embarrassing. That Sheffield loss was embarrassing enough. But in terms of bragging rights and history and the history between the two clubs, Arsenal and United, we're not going to live this one down for a long time. And if they beat us, I'm going to say congratulations to them. Well done. We got to see what the refereeing decisions are and that, if there's any questionable moments in the game or whatnot. But if they deserve to win and they beat us, I'm going to put my hands up and say that. But it's if they get them VAR decisions and a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty and that, then it's a different discussion. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous about the game. I do think we've got a good enough team to beat them. But right now, I'm worried because I think some of our players are not over that Sheffield game, and we've got a quick game tomorrow again. So 1-1 I'm going with. I would take a draw. I don't think there'll be a lot of goals. Let's get into the team lineup that I've gone for. I've gone for David De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Eric Bailly, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Pogba and Fred in my 2 defensive midfield roles. Possibly have to leave Fred more deep, like sitting more. He likes to free roam a bit more. But playing with Pogba, I think you need to let Pogba be the one that gets forward a bit more and gets shots in and crosses and whatnot. So I would have Fred sitting, but I don't know if he can do that. I know he can't do that as well as the likes of Matic. Matic is getting a lot of abuse from people for his performance against Sheffield. I gave him man of the match. There's no way you can tell me that Bruno was any way better than Matic, that Pogba was any way better than Matic, because they wasn't. And a lot of people are saying they are, and that's frightening. Matic was playing forward passes. Yes, the midfield was getting overrun, and you could argue that that's his job to control all that. But he needs help and support from the likes of Bruno and Pogba. As I said in the post-match, he wasn't getting that support. He was making forward passes when he could. Maybe not all of them were getting to the target, but the majority of them were, unlike Bruno, unlike Pogba. I don't understand where a lot of this criticism is coming for Matic. I thought he had an average game, but I think he was our best player other than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka had a quiet game. So I don't understand the abuse for Matic. I thought he had an average game, but he was by far above, other than Wan-Bissaka, those two. Everyone else was so below par, it was unbelievable. So people that are saying Bruno and Pogba were better than Matic, no, I don't agree with it. I just wanted to state that because I don't like hearing that, because you can have your opinion, yes, but you can't tell me mine's wrong when I think yours is wrong as well. So it is what it is, but I'd go with Pogba and Fred in the midfield. Greenwood on the right, I don't think he should have been subbed against Sheffield. I thought he was out of the front lot. He was the one that looked the most lively and the most likely to do something. I don't agree with always taking him off just because he's the youngest one. It should be done on how you're performing in that game. So I don't think he should have been subbed off. Bruno, you could argue that maybe start Donny in this game, but to be honest, Donny's not shown what he can do for me as much as I try to back him yet. So I wouldn't risk dropping Bruno. I think he'll bounce back in this game, I really do. This is where I'm going to get a lot of stick, but I don't care because Rashford for me has not been cutting it lately. A lot of them didn't against Sheffield, but even before that, Rashford has been terrible for me. He pops up now and again with the odd goal or the odd assist that's very important, but the majority of the time he don't show up. I'm dropping him to the bench for this, and I'm going with Dan James. Yes, I don't think Dan James is Premier League quality, but to be honest, the amount of effort levels in that game against Sheffield, there was probably 3 players I can name that I thought put in a shift and actually played for the shirt against Sheffield. I think that was Matic, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Greenwood. Everyone else was poor. I would take a risk. I would play Dan James. I don't think he's Premier League quality, but I'll tell you what he will give you over Rashford. Or even Martial on the left. He will give you effort. He will track back. He will get forward as well. He may not have the quality as them two, but I'm taking effort over at this point, especially against a team that's going to be at our throats from the get-go. We need someone... Look, it's not being a passion merchant. It's literally... Look, if you put in a performance against Sheffield like that and everyone's not putting and pulling their weight, you have to have players in there that are pulling their weight. And Rashford is one of the worst for that. They were all terrible against Sheffield, apart from the ones I named. Rashford has to be benched for me. Martial was also benched for me. Dan James on the left. Simply for his effort. I don't care how he plays in terms of quality on the ball. You can sub him off later in the game if you have to. But give him a chance because he will work his socks off. And Rashford and Martial have not been doing that. I don't care what you're telling me. They've not been doing it. So Dan James starts for me on the left. Cavani up top. Wasn't great when he come on the other night. But I still think he's better than Martial. And more game time, I think he will get a goal in this game. I think him or Bruno are the most likely to get a goal in this game. So... my bench, I've just noticed I didn't put Donny on the bench, so I might have to change the bench up a little bit. I've gone Henderson, Matic, Lindelof, McTominay, Telles, Rashford and Martial. Alright, I'm going to take Telles out and I'm going to put Donny in for Telles, just so Donny is in the squad. But he's got to prove it. Like, as I said, a lot of us have been trying to back him up and give him the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time, but he's not been performing when he's been playing. Not been getting a great deal of time. but even the certain times he started games once or twice, he's not been doing it for me. So he's got a lot to answer at the moment. I'm nervous about tomorrow, I'm not going to lie. I don't watch a lot of Arsenal, but I know that they're playing better than they have been for a while. Saka, as I said, a very good youngster for them. I think he's answering a lot of critics right now. He's very young still, but he's usually their best player most games. And to be doing that at his age is brilliant. That's kind of what we need with Greenwood, to be honest. He's shown it in glimpses, but I do think Saka's been doing it more consistently. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how those two get on. Look, I nearly didn't put Martial on the bench because he was terrible against Sheffield. Rashford, you could argue Rashford and Martial don't have a place even on the bench. I mean, you could even say it about Bruno, for me, honestly, against Sheffield. But you can't risk taking someone out like Bruno because I think he will bounce back in this game. He's got too much quality. I could see Rashford and Martial even coming off the bench and performing slightly better, but you can't just let them start the game after that performance because you're not giving them consequences for their actions and how they play. So that Martial or Rashford could easily not even be on the bench. So hopefully, I think they'll probably both start. I mean, I think Cavani deserves to start over Martial, but maybe Ollie puts Martial on the left and Greenwood on the right, or Rashford on the right for Greenwood. So we'll have to see what he goes with, but I don't think that. I don't know. I'm not super confident about the result, but I'm going to go 1-1. And I'll be back tomorrow with a post-match recap, the confirmed lineup and the player ratings after the game as well. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow.